Welcome to the Sabbath Life podcast. Here is a place where we share stories about finding rhythms of life that make us more human, learning about the Christian contemplative tradition, and how we become friends with time. I'm Peter White, and I'm one of the hosts of the Abbey of the Height, a retreat space here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And today I am joined with Melissa Hendrickson and Chris Westhoff. And together, the three of us facilitate the School of Spiritual Direction at the Sabbath Life. So we wanted to take some time just to share some of our own stories about spiritual direction and the training program that we host. And so what if we start with just some introductions? If you all would just share a little bit of who you are and the work that you do, and maybe if you could remember how spiritual direction first came onto your radar screen. Chris, do you want to kick us off with that?
That's a complicated question, actually, but the who you are part is more complicated than the other part. But my name is Chris Westhoff, like you said, living here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. My husband and I have been around and in various ministry worlds for, 35, 40 years maybe. And in that process along the way, I come from a Catholic background, although I haven't stayed with the Catholic Church. But my mother has had a spiritual director for as long as I can remember. So it's always been on my radar. It's always been something that I had heard of, that I was somewhat familiar with. And then somewhere along the way, as I was dabbling in a lot of more inner healing type work to help people and just the care of their souls, I found myself in pastoral work and mental and emotional health work for various reasons and in lots of different contexts. And so I think it was probably around 2007 or 8. I jumped into a training that I thought was spiritual direction and quickly found out that it wasn't. And so starting back then, I wanted to be trained and I wanted to grow in this craft, in this art form. And so finally, a few years back when you opened up the school, Peter, on the very first group, I jumped in as fast as I possibly could. So it's a life changer for sure.
That's awesome. Awesome. So what is the work that you do now, Chris?
My husband and I lead a couple of different ministries. The primary one is called MESH. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual health is what MESH stands for. It's the MESH objective. So we do a lot of work with pastors and missionaries and leaders around the world, caring for their souls so they can keep doing what they're doing. And some of them are working in some pretty tough contexts, like the underground church in the Middle East and a lot of gang and drug-related violence in South Africa, and then some very normal pastors and leaders and churches here across the U.S. as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Chris. Melissa, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're up to.
Yeah, I'm Melissa Hendrickson. I'm also here in the Tulsa area. I was involved in local church ministry for about 3 decades, worked as a children's pastor for about 15 years, and just in probably 10 years ago, started hearing the language of spiritual direction pop up in places, podcasts, and books that I was listening to and reading, and was curious about it, but didn't really know where to go or how to get started or how I would even know how to trust someone. And then in 2022, I was at a conference and was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about graduate school and seminary. And she asked if I'd ever considered being a spiritual director. And it got the wheels spinning. And just a few weeks later, I actually received the email from the Sabbath Life announcing the first cohort. And that was kind of how it all came together for me.
Awesome. What would you say are some gifts and graces that you've received from spiritual direction?
Gosh, it feels like that list could go on and on. I think for me, sitting with a spiritual director, one of the greatest gifts has been the gift of presence, having space to just be able to be curious and wonder and ask questions and wrestle with ideas in a place that feels completely safe and completely comfortable. It's never hurried, never rushed. As the spiritual director giving spiritual direction, I think it's been such a gift to really just be able to carry other people's stories, to have the privilege of sitting and listening to others as they wrestle and explore and get curious about how God's in their story. It feels like such a gift to me.
Mm. Mm. Chris, how about you? I heard you use earlier the language of art and of craft related to spiritual direction. Could you say some more about that?
Does feel I can't remember who said it. I just read a quote last week and I should have looked it up before we hopped on here, but it calls the care of the human soul the art of all arts. And I
Mm.
love it. And I want to frame it on my office wall because it does feel like this, like we somehow get to partake in the creative work of God and how he loves each and individual person and how he's engaging with them. We get to be a witness to their life, a witness to his creation over and over again as he engages with the person in front of us, and it does it feels artistic through and through to me. And the craft language, I on the receiving level of spiritual direction, I'm really thankful for those who have learned and continued to learn the craft because it is a craft like anything else that you're going to learn, whether you are an artist or like if we stay in the art category as a painter, you have a natural gift and grace as a painter most often, but then you learn the craft. If you're a singer, it's the same way. If you're a scientist, anything that we do, there might be a natural gift and grace, but there's also a learning of a craft that is incredibly valuable and very important, or else we won't grow.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's so beautiful. When you think about the program that we have in training spiritual directors, what's kind of the sales pitch that you give to people about what you do with it?
That's on you, Melissa.
Oh, the sales pitch. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
right. I think the thing that I often, when I'm asked what do I do as a spiritual director, like what is my role, I really just usually am telling people that I get to come alongside and listen with them. I'm creating holy space to listen, and uh, that's not something that is necessarily comfortable or familiar, to have the slow space to sit and listen to another as they tell their story. So I think that's usually the thing I talk about, creating space to really listen.
Mm, Creating space to listen. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Chris, what do you tell people?
Well, when you first asked the question, I thought you were asking like sales pitch for the Sabbath life because I've got that one nailed down. 'Cause
Well, we can take that one too.
yeah, should I go there instead?
Yeah, you can.
Well, it spiritual direction is a bit like coaching in the way that it's the wild, wild west out there. Like anybody can hang a shingle on their door and call themselves a spiritual director or a coach or what have you, and even do the training. And it's just hard to know who to trust. And I think Melissa mentioned that she was looking for a place to be trained. And I just feel like we hit the jackpot. It's a place clearly that I fully and completely trust, or else I wouldn't be there. And I tell everybody, like the curriculum is solid. It's based on one of the oldest and longest standing schools in the nation. It's inclusive, it's creative in its approach, it's deep, it's life transforming through and through. And I thoroughly trust you, Peter, and the people who run this school and the people who work at the Sabbath Life. I just couldn't vouch for you more so.
We try to be good people here. So that's that's the aim. Yeah.
That's the aim.
Yeah.
Doing a good job of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say, especially over the experience that you've had in leading some of our cohorts over the last couple years? What are some favorite pieces that you have of that, or favorite elements of the things that we teach people? Go for it.
My favorite, I mean, I love the curriculum. I love the studies, the conversations, the books that we're assigned. I love all of it. But my favorite part is all the practice. That just feels like the most important thing, that we get people in a group situation It feels really safe and really intimate while we take our first baby steps out and start practicing really early on in the program. And that's terrifying at first, but then it's really the most valuable thing. I mean, we need to try. We need to jump into the waters and splash around and say, "How am I doing?" And be in a safe place to be able to get feedback and just practice. So that's huge to me. And I love it. I love it so much.
How about you, Melissa?
I agree with all of those things. I also really love getting to watch a new cohort show up
Mhm.
on the very first day. Um, there's some nervousness and some timidness and just some hesitancy around what have I signed up for? What am I doing? Are these people going to be safe? And then to watch over the course of months to see them begin to open and breathe deeper and feel comfortable to tell their story and to see friendships form and to see them have safety to know that they can make mistakes and they can ask questions and they can express the fullness of who they are. All of that feels really beautiful over the course of 2 years of walking with people and getting to see that transformation.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things too. Cause that always feels like the first day of school. But when we start and everybody's looking around at like, who are these people? And do I really want to stick this out? And then over the course of those months, yeah, seeing friendships develop. We had a group this past year that started a group me chat group so they could be in touch with each other in between the intensives that they were here. And just seeing that add to their connection was really sweet. Yeah. How would you describe your experience of going through the program? What did you learn about spiritual direction, or what surprised you about maybe even yourself in that process?
I think for me, I think the thing that was maybe the most surprising for me in the process was how much I learned about myself. It was like each new book, each new assignment, each new conversation was like a new doorway opening up. Um, and that felt so invitational to walk into that space and to begin to explore new hallways and new doors and to just have a sense of freedom to dig deeper into those things. And I think when I think about like the actual work of spiritual direction, I feel like we got so many opportunities to practice in that space, really just having grace as we came in with different perspectives and different viewpoints, being able to listen to each other with respect and kindness and to learn from each other, regardless of all of our backgrounds. And that just felt really hopeful in a time when things can sometimes feel a little disorienting.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, because we have people from a wide variety of Christian traditions that show up in our cohorts. Yeah. Yeah. Chris, how about you? What was your experience like as a student in the program?
Oh, I loved it. And I hated it. Is that fair to say? I feel like
Well,
anything good
maybe if you
is
explain a little bit.
I know. Well, I didn't hate it at all. But anything good is gonna challenge you, and I'm of a certain age where I'm not in a whole lot of situations where I'm the student anymore. And it's something that I've really wanted to be intentional to remain the student as long as I possibly can. Walk on these two legs. I want to be a student somewhere, but it becomes challenging. And I found myself having to choose over and over again to show up fully, to be fully present, fully vulnerable, to be like fully honest with this is what I'm struggling with, and this is what I loved about this book, and this is what I hated about this book. And that was a new space for me to be able to be so honest with the parts of the homework that were really hard. I was going through some traumatic things in my life at the time, and I could be fully a mess at the same time as learn so much. I was aware of the choices I had to make along the way to let myself be fully me, unguarded, and show up just in whatever state I was in. And in a room full of people that you don't really know very well. And like you already mentioned, the diversity of um, context that people are coming from, and the theological differences, and the even the church cultural differences that go along
Mm,
with different traditions became it started out as being an intimidating thing, and it
Mhm,
my favorite thing. It's like, I wanna be in more rooms like that, where there's theological diversity, there's age diversity, there is, cultural diversity, and we're challenging each other on what we're thinking in the kindest, most beautiful way. Yeah, I think everybody should go through spiritual direction training.
mm,
Makes you a better human.
mm. Yeah, it makes you a better human. I underscore that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our program, for those of you that are listening, we meet in person here at the Abbey of the Heights for 2 days at a time for 5 times over the course of the year. So I'm curious if you guys could speak to any like the dynamic of being in person and what that matters, how that matters to you versus being online.
I love being in person. I love that we can see each other face to face. I really value I do a lot of work online. I really value online spaces too, but I really for this training it feels so life-giving to be in the space together, to have the conversations together. It feels like the community aspect of it, eating lunches together and just being in the space creates like a deep bond with the people who are there. That feels just a little different than maybe doing something virtually.
I would agree. I think it was the biggest draw for me at the time. I've got enough screens in my life. I just desperately wanted training to be in person. Just the physical warmth of other human beings. It was on the backside of COVID, and we were just all hungry for that. But I also have a really strong belief that in community, we learn just as much from the community as we do from the curriculum. It's it's real. I mean, I think there's no better learning than in community.
For sure. Yeah. So we cover a wide range of topics and tools for the art and the craft, as you put it, Chris. Are there ones particularly that have stood out to you that just really resonate with you, or when we come to that particular module, you're excited for that one?
You go first, Melissa.
Okay. I'm trying to think through all of our materials. I have found that the conversations that we've had around discernment, the piece that is connected to discernment has felt really it's taken like a deeper dive for me
Mm,
from the tradition I came from and what I had known. It's given me new language and new like pegs to hold on to, things that feel like anchors that are different than what I grew up with. And then I also, for me, I have really valued some of the conversations we've had around like the Enneagram and internal family systems and some of the things that just help us to discover a little bit more about who we are and how we show up in the world. And those conversations are really exciting to me.
mm,
Yeah, I love all of that too. I think I'm hesitant to talk about it because mostly it's not people's favorite, but my favorite is the Dark Night of the Soul
mm,
module. It just goes so deep, and I feel like it's one of those conversations that we don't have very often and in passing. You don't just like, "Hey, let's talk about" it's not normally the topic in the women's Bible study at church, and yet it's so important that we have these conversations, and that whole module, I I just start getting that excited feeling before we head into that weekend because it's rich. It's just deep and rich and is so transformative for everybody there.
mm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about your dark night of the soul. Yeah. So yeah, those aren't conversations we have at church on Sunday morning.
No, they're not.
But yeah, that's why we need spiritual directors to have those conversations
Yeah.
with. Yeah. So if a person was thinking about this vocation of being a spiritual director and getting trained, like what kind of person do you think that would be? Like who would you recommend spiritual direction training to?
I mean, I think it takes all kinds. The thing I have come to see over the last many years is there's not a one size spiritual director. Like it requires all different personalities and all different journeys with the Lord. But I do think there are some characteristics in those people. Like I think there are some things like people need to be willing to be curious and to sit with uncomfortable things, to be able to listen for, long periods of time. So I think just also having a sense of what the Holy Spirit is doing, being able to be in tune with the Holy Spirit, and like all of those things are good, important characteristics. But I think it takes all different kinds of people.
I agree. We usually aim for people who have been around the block a few times. It's
Mm.
usually a little bit on the second half of life kind of age range. It would be the only thing I
Mhm.
would add in there. Not that a 21-year-old couldn't be a spiritual director, but I think that might be a bit challenging. You want to be able to have some life behind you, like so you can look in the rearview mirror and have some some scars from the road. Feels like that's helpful.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, to have some, just life experience
Yeah.
to be able to draw on. Yeah, in a lot of ways it's our life experience that is kind of the fuel for being able to give in this vocation. Yeah. Yeah. So, I wouldn't want to recommend spiritual direction training to somebody who maybe doesn't have life experience, or maybe who is looking for a really quick job transition and a quick job. That's probably not the best phase of life to be in for looking for a training like this. Maybe if you have all the theology answers, that's probably not the best place either. So a lot of openness and humility to how the Lord might be opening up just the next stage of life for you. I know that when I did my training and I ended it, I really didn't know what was going to happen next. So I just continued in the ministry job that I had for a season, but then a role at a nonprofit opened up, and I was using my spiritual direction skills in that job, sitting with people and praying with them. And then I had an opportunity as a corporate chaplain where I thought, well, I'm just being a spiritual director in this role. And so I know that like spiritual direction can end up looking like a whole lot of things, or that the skills that you learn in it are applicable in a wide range of places. And so, there's a value to it, I think, for folks that are already in ministry, maybe in a church job, and this helps them do that work in a deeper way, or maybe who's feeling a kind of a pull and a calling to do this in a really, maybe in a formal kind of setting with a practice in an office, or it may look like something else entirely. Yeah. Why do you think the world needs spiritual directors right now?
Hmm. No, I think the world, I don't want this to sound critical, but I think there's no way to avoid that.
Mhm.
Let me put it this way, the world is desperate to be more at peace and mystery.
Mhm.
It's our certainty, I think, is one of the biggest problems that we face. And we have a whole lot of certainty that doesn't, or quick, easy, shallow answers in the Christendom that doesn't offer the place to hold mystery and love the Lord in the middle of mystery. We don't naturally know how to do that. I feel like there's many people that are repelled by certainty or an overconfident, know it all. I've got the biblical answers, the I don't know, over spiritualizing things that don't make sense. There's a lot of that kind of thing in churches. And I think so many people are done with that, but they don't know what the other option is. They don't know where they can actually find a place to talk about deeper things, to have somebody help them dive into the depths of their heart and soul and encourage the questions that are in hiding that need to find a home without somebody giving them the answers. Most often we don't want answers. We just need to find the Lord in the mystery. I don't know. My first thoughts.
Melissa, do you have thoughts?
I just was thinking, I think people are longing for places that they can go and just know that what they say is not going to be critiqued or judged, so that they can just have a question and wrestle with it and be reminded that God loves them and is with them in the wrestling, that they don't have to have all the answers. It doesn't have to be all sorted out. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy, but that they can still find peace and joy in the midst of all of the hard things that are going on. And I think that it is rare for us to have spaces that feel safe enough to just articulate all of the grief that we're carrying and to know that, like, it's okay.
Yeah. I'm reminded of one of our people last year who I think it was the very first intensive, kind of after the second day, we were kind of processing as a group, like what we'd gotten out of the last 2 days. And he made the comment that I am so more hopeful about the world knowing that there's people like you out in it. And I just had to write that down immediately because I was like, that needs to go on the website or something. I just need it for myself as a reminder of this, that this is how much this work matters, of knowing that when we train a cohort of 15 people, then that means there are 30 people out there in the world having access to a spiritual director that wouldn't have otherwise. And the impact that that's making year after year after year. And just knowing that the world that we live in right now, and it feels so out of control all of the time, and we don't know what to do, and we feel so powerless. This is one of the things I know that I can do that is making a difference in the world, is just creating these safe spaces with people and inviting them to be with the Lord in that space. All right. Well, could we wind down with a couple of fun questions that I'd like to ask all of our guests? So you can hate me later if you like, or in the moment too, since I'm just springing this on you. So these are questions that just have, you don't get to think about these, just the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. So what is the last book that you read?
The last book I read was Counterweights by Shannon Martin.
How about you?
When Narcissism Comes to Church. I think it's Chuck DeGroat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. I love his treatment of the Enneagram in that book.
I do too.
It's really hard to write about the Enneagram, and he does it well.
Yeah, he does. Very good.
So, all right. If your job was something different other than what it is right now, what would you want it to be?
Like, it could be anything.
Anything. Yeah.
I would love to be an artist. I could be a really good artist.
Like a particular medium in art.
I would love to do all the mediums, but I think painting would be the thing that I would want to do.
Painting. How about you, Chris?
I think I'd want to be a dancer, like
okay,
full on ballet,
okay,
jazz. Like I just would want to dance. I know it sounds so silly, but it's always been that dream. The other thing that might be a bit more realistic would be an interior designer kind of creativity of creating spaces. Yeah. What about you, Peter?
A job other than what I have now.
Uh-huh.
I would love to be a writer on a TV show.
Well, that's nice. Like a comedy show, sitcom. What kind of show are we talking about?
Gosh, did you see the show The Lowdown that was on Hulu recently? But it was about Tulsa actually, and it was kind of like a murder mystery, but also this deep dive into local history. That was, yeah, I loved it. It had Ethan Hawke, so you should check it out.
Nice.
But what's a place to travel that you've never been?
So many places. I'd really like to go anywhere on, like Europe, in that part of the country. I haven't been there at all, so I'd love to go anywhere over there.
All of Europe.
All of Europe.
Yeah.
Chris, is there a place in the world that you haven't been?
Well, there's lots of places I haven't been, but I would love to go to the south of France. I've seen pictures, I've read the stories. I just would love to wander through the villages in the south of France.
What would you say is your comfort food movie? In other words, like the movie you can watch 100 times and it never gets old.
Stuck on that one, Melissa. You go.
That's easy for me. Princess Bride.
Really?
All day long.
We watched that with the kids just last week.
Yeah. My kids now we've watched it so many times, we all just recite it basically. So.
Oh my gosh. That's a hard one. I have to say, I don't rewatch a lot of movies.
Yeah. Okay.
There's probably a couple in there, and I'm going to think about them the minute this is over. But I want to hear what yours are, Peter.
What mine are? Yeah, because I could probably give you a list. I'd start with The Big Lebowski.
Oh, yeah.
That's one I can just have on in the background, and yeah, it's great. Well, The Empire Strikes Back is one that I can just watch all the time.
Awesome.
Gosh, Office Space. Yeah, yeah. We could do movies forever. What's a favorite place you have to eat a meal?
I mean, that's really hard with my food allergies. I don't eat a lot of places, but I do love a good sushi restaurant.
I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, I love, a good cozy Italian, dark, moody Italian restaurant where I could just sit in the corner with my husband and chow down on some pasta and then regret it later. But our favorite restaurant in Tulsa is a sushi place. It's on the rooftop. It's in the raw view. Such phenomenal views of the city. So that's our go-to for a special night out. What about you, Peter? What's yours?
Awesome. Oh, gosh, I just like good food. So, I mean, this is kind of a cheesy answer, I think, but like just the kitchen table at my house is a favorite place for a meal.
Your
So,
wife can
because
cook, so I understand that one.
yeah, yeah, she pulls out all the stops for the cohorts when they're here for
Mhm.
sure. I don't eat like that every day.
No. Hey, that could be a sales pitch for the cohorts.
Yeah, we should just do like a YouTube channel of her cooking. Yeah.
It's true.
All right. So if we were to go out for karaoke, what would be your song?
You couldn't pay me enough to sit in karaoke.
Not
I
at
feel
all. hmm
I feel that
Yeah,
exact same way.
yeah,
No.
we're not
like,
okay. We're not
that's
going
just
to karaoke then.
I wouldn't even walk in a karaoke place knowing that if there was ever gonna be a slight possibility that that would happen, that would be
Fair enough. What would you say makes you laugh the hardest?
well, this one's easy, and my kids will tell you, and it makes no sense whatsoever, but when somebody's making fun of me, like, to me, I laugh so hard I can't even contain myself. My face hurts. Like, I don't know why it's so funny when people I love make fun of me, like, mock mercilessly. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, but it's pretty funny.
I
That's
don't
awesome.
know. The first thing that came to mind, which is what you said, is videos of people getting hurt. I don't know.
Hey, that's, like, a unique sense of humor that people have. Yeah, the slapstick humor.
Mhm.
Well, thank you both so much for spending this time today to share your lives and what's meaningful to you and your stories with us. If a person that's listening wanted to know more about you or connect with you and the work that you do, what would be the best way for them to do that?
You can find me on my website, holyform.org. All my stuff that I do is there, and you can reach out to me that way too.
That's awesome. Mine is meshobjective.com. Nope, meshobjective.org. I think I have both. So either one.
Yeah, it's important to buy both of those domains, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So until next time, may you know in the deepest parts of you that you are loved by God. Peace.